Context. Long ago, I was streaming in Harmony, then everything changed once Kitspy entered the Discord channel. Apparently, there's a movement of people who believe that popular series Attack on Titan falls within the mecha genre of anime. I had never heard it before, so I took the time to explore some of the arguments. Later, I'm joined by fighting game commentator C4 to explore the topic in a bit more detail. You can find Kitspy and C4 socials in the description below. The following conversation took place over on my stream at twitch.tv/EarthbunderCharlie. No, you're not listening to this at 1.5 speed. Or are you?
I see my chat has already explained to you the situation.
Yeah, I like how you began with, yo, that you went straight down to business. You didn't know hello, no how are you, just, I see you have been instructed with the task at hand.
No, you don't understand.
This is down to business.
You don't understand what's happening in this chat right now. We are having a serious debate.
Okay. So I've been told the basic, but I want to hear it straight from you before I give any opinion.
Well, I had some crazy people come into my chat and tell me that they believe that Attack on Titan is a mech anime, and I say absolutely not.
Right.
It isn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mech anime.
Yeah. I mean, like, so Egg Roll came in and they said exactly what you said, and at first I'm like, yeah, this is there's no way it's mecha, right? This is like the obvious, most coldest take of the world. But then upon thinking about it, I can understand why it may be an interesting discussion, but I think, unfortunately, not to be a party pooper, but I think the boring answer is that by virtue of the Titans not being mechanical, it cannot be mecha anime.
That's what I meant. That's what I said.
Yeah, I just think but I mean, it has everything else. Like the characters do pilot the Titans, kind of, right? Well, not kind of. They technically do, but yeah, if the Titans themselves are not mechanic, it's just not mecha. And I don't want to sound boring and because it sounds like maybe you guys had this debate. Like, how long was this discussion going on for?
Probably about a good 30 minutes.
Okay.
See, this is what I said. My thing, because the whole thing of mecha means mechanical, right? So it's more robot oriented. Now I can understand why people would think it could potentially be if they said that mecha was the description for mecha was that you are piloting something, then sure. But the whole point of mecha is it being a robot and mechanical. So because of that, I can't say that Attack on Titan is mecha.
Yeah. What arguments were they making, or some other people?
Well, they're just saying that some people are saying that it's mech adjacent.
Mech adjacent.
Which is interesting.
I mean, I can see the argument for mech adjacent.
Yeah.
But then that's where it ends, right? Oh, hey, Viking, what's up? Sorry, I missed your message. Welcome. Yeah, I think if somebody is to say it's mech adjacent, then that should mean that, even saying mech adjacent acknowledges that it's not mech, because you're saying mech adjacent, right? When you say something is adjacent, then that should mean that you acknowledge that it's next to the thing, it's next to the topic of mecha, but it's not really mecha. So even somebody saying that is already, to me, that sounds like an admission of it not being mech, So I don't know. It feels like maybe, it was an exciting half an hour debate, but then ultimately it's like, guys, if maybe this is just fun for thought experiment, just a way of thinking experiment, but if we're not playing games and we're just being serious people, it's not mech. It's just
that's what I said. I googled it.
And I'm sure you've watched other mech animes, like Evangelion's one of my favorite, Gurren Lagann, Gundam, right? They're clearly and okay, maybe one argument that I think is even clearer as to why it's not mech is because obviously a big part of mech is the excitement of the mechanical designs, right? Like Gundam has a huge collectible franchise where, this is Wing Zero, this is Epion, this is the mech that Wei Wulong had in Series 7 or whatever, right? And other shows, whether it's Macross, whether it's Pat Labor, whether it's Gurren Lagann. But Titans in Attack on Titan, mostly they're just naked, giant humanoid beings. There's no this one has, I mean, some of them do look different, but not to the point where, this is Wing Zero versus this is this other mech, and they have different colors and all the robot design. One of them looks like a samurai, and this one looks like a giant beetle. So, yeah, I'm not seeing it.
I mean, I don't. Well, because then they're trying to get me to watch a video proving it, and I'm like, well,
Oh
who is
no.
this guy that is
Who made
qualified to
this
say that
video?
it's a mech?
Who's this video
And then
from?
I don't know. I didn't watch it because like
Denied.
who's qualified? Also, I go on Reddit and everybody's like, yeah, it's a mech anime. I'm like,
Wait, is
no,
this a
it's
thing? Is this like a concept that I've never even
yeah,
heard of this as an argument?
yeah. It's actually apparently a thing
Wait,
that I'm
let me
really
Google
surprised.
this. Is Attack on Titan a mech
I say it's
anime?
more kaiju
Yeah,
stuff for
kaiju.
sure. Like
Yeah,
like Zio says, it's more kaiju.
10 ways Attack on Titan is actually a mech anime. CBR.com. While Attack on Titan doesn't have any mecha, it parallels great mecha anime. Titans are effectively mecha of Eren Yeager's world.
But parallel isn't the same as being parallel to me would be same thing as adjacent.
10 points. Number 10, Attack on Titan has dramatic in mech scenes. Just true. In mech scenes meaning, in mech anime they always cut to the pilot, like a close up of the pilot,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
I got to target his machine gun because if I don't, like that kind of shit." Number 9, Attack on Titan features sudden betrayals. I don't know what sudden betrayals has to do with. I don't believe
Being
sudden
mech.
betrayals are
Yeah.
inherently mech. Number 8, Attack on Titan includes new or hidden techniques and abilities. That's true. Number 7, Attack on Titan has characters inheriting mecha of the past. That's true. Attack on Titan, number 6, Attack on Titan includes international politics on a grand scale. That is true.
Yeah, but
And
why
I,
does that have anything to do with mech?
I think
Have
because there are a lot of, I think a lot of mech shows do that. Maybe mostly Gundam. Gurren Lagann does that too. Evangelion is quite political. And those are just some of the ones I've seen. So it may be a thing where generally a lot of mech fans consider consider mech shows to be inherently political, which I believe may be true. Just in terms of like if you look at all the major mech shows, usually there is a lot of politics involved. That's why I think that's on number 6. Number 5, Attack on Titan features lots and lots of fodder. Fodder? Oh,
like dead bodies?
like characters that are just they're gonna die because they're shit and their existence is just to
Yeah,
die and be like, whoa,
but
dude.
yeah, but there's plenty of that in things like Bleach and Naruto.
Yeah,
Like I don't think that's a great example.
yeah. Number 4, Attack on Titan has many rousing speeches. I don't think rousing speeches is a mech thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like that's
they,
not a good one.
yeah, they were probably running out of points. Like, fuck, we need to fill up this list. All right, let's put in anything. Bullshit. Attack on Titan number 3. Attack on Titan includes brutally sad character deaths. I don't think that's an inherently mech thing.
Nope, I cried in Naruto.
Yeah. Number 2, Attack on Titan features visually striking designs. Yes, I mean, sure.
Yeah, but
Uh,
that's and that could be any.
yeah, yeah. I don't think I disagree. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
There's like three things on here where like I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of see it. Like the
Yeah,
in mech scenes, sure.
yeah.
But
Number
everything
one,
else,
number one. Attack on Titan has many good old-fashioned slugfests. I don't think that's inherently mech
that's
either.
that's not mech. That's
Yeah.
not mech.
So I think me and you probably agree with number 10, the in mech scenes.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Maybe I don't know about the sudden betrayal. Hidden techniques, yes. Inheriting mecha of the past, yes.
Wow, Uno says this list sucks.
The list sucks. Yeah, maybe there's better arguments to make. I agree with the international politics thing. So I agree with like 4 of these.
I don't know. I feel like international politics. There's other animes that cover that. That's not like, like there's
Yeah.
political thriller animes that exist.
I think what they're trying to say here is that, for example, if you had 5 shonens that had a lot of politics, you would never say politics is inherently part of the shonen genre. It would just mean that those 5 shonen shows have politics. But I think the argument they're trying to make is that pretty much all mecha has politics and international, international politics, which
You wouldn't you
I
wouldn't think that you wouldn't think that Naruto kind of goes into that line because Naruto has a lot of like different political stuff happening between the different villages and stuff.
yeah, it does. But the argument would be Naruto has it because the creator of Naruto just decided to have it. Like it's not like the creator. I think their argument, not that I agree with it. I think their argument would be let's say in an alternate reality, shonen must have politics, right? So then if Kishimoto made Naruto and he knew he wanted to make a shonen called Naruto, he would know, fuck, this genre usually has politics, so I need to have like the Uchiha and the Konoha, the villages. I need to have politics, right? But Naruto having politics is just it's just a story he decided to make. But what they're saying is that the genre of mecha always has politics. And so if Attack on Titan has politics, that is a reason why it falls under mecha. That would be their argument. Which I think I'm willing to give them that. I think. Even though I haven't seen all mecha, all the ones that I have seen are very political.
Nice. Okay. All
so
right.
I might give them that, but that's 4 out of 10 for me. I mean, I'm still with you.
Yeah, I think that in mech scenes, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. But like, would that mean that Naruto is also technically a mech because the Jinchuriki is within him, or like he's like, would that then are we gonna go to so far to say that that's also the case?
Yeah.
So any anime that is being piloted by something, because like to me, mech just means mechanical,
right?
Robot.
Yeah. Like by the literal like linguistics of the word, yes. Like mech is short form for mechanical or mecha, right? And if somebody was to say, well, when Sasuke uses Susanoo, technically he's piloting Susanoo, so that now Naruto is a mech anime. It's like that's just a horrible. If anyone said that, they would. That's not a good look, right? So yeah, I agree with you. But I think the response to that would be like, that just doesn't happen enough in Naruto. Like it's not until the very end. You know when Naruto and Sasuke start doing their crazy Susanoo Jinchuriki stuff where they're literally piloting it, right? That only happened in like the latter end of Naruto, right? That didn't even happen throughout the whole. Like when Naruto would go into his subconscious and speak to the Kyuubi through the gate, like that's not even that is like inner mech stuff, right? That's just having a conversation with your inner soul.
So my mod egg says mecha anime usually involves piloting something in 90% of the episodes.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be like a major. There's way too much conflict in Naruto that has nothing to do with like piloting. Top comment on Reddit: is Attack on Titan a mecha anime? And then they describe what they think, and then the top comment says, "Well, yes, but actually no." That's funny.
I look at it from the main like. What is it? What's the word I'm looking for? The main word, the absolute definition of what mech is, and that's robots and mechanical. Yeah, that's I could say, hey, yeah, it's a piloting show, sure, but it's not a mech piloting show.
Do you think for the, go on.
Oh, sorry, I was just reading Johan's. You can see the similarities, but that's just people inner categorization desire. I see. Because like when I recommend mech animes, Attack on Titan's definitely not on the list of things that would be recommended oftentimes to me. Or because I literally went online like a couple days ago when I was looking for animes to watch, and I was like, oh, I'll give mech animes a try. Attack on Titans were not on that list.
I think there's an interesting question that is on the cusp. It's like on the tip of my brain that I think may challenge you. I'm just trying to think how to phrase it. Because again, I agree with you, but I think there is something interesting to explore here. Okay. I'm freestyling right now. I've never thought of this question. But
Okay.
I'm just curious. So you know how you have isekai, right? As a genre.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say for the sake of argument, you had an isekai where every trope of an isekai is present in this show, except the world that the person enters is just a different classroom in a school, right? So let's say the anime is about a school, and when this character is quote unquote isekai'd into the new world, what's really happened is just the main character is going into a new classroom and they don't know any of the students in that classroom, and the whole story is about coming to grips with how things run in this classroom. But all the tropes, all the tropes, the way the story is told is one for one, like any other isekai, like going like a slime or sword, no, not sword art, but like yeah, any other traditional isekai, right? Would your answer to that, if somebody asked you, is this hypothetical school/classroom anime an isekai? What would you say?
I mean, I would say that that's probably. I think the closest would probably be. Would that closely. Would you say that's like similar to like Tokyo Revengers in terms of
I haven't
idea?
seen it. Describe it to me. I haven't. I'm familiar with the title, but I haven't seen that. Like, what happens in that show?
Well, Tokyo Revengers is more like, I guess it's not, because Tokyo Revengers is more like he kind of goes back to the past.
But do people say, is that generally considered an isekai? Tokyo Revengers? I have no idea.
Is Tokyo Revengers isekai? No, it's not. What is isekai?
Isekai is the
I know. Subgenre fiction that features a character transported to a new world, a different world, or another world. If it's within the same world, I maybe wouldn't say that it is.
Yeah. But that's what I think makes this question interesting, because sometimes you can have a genre that is intentionally shaking up how we understand the genre, right? So you could have a genre where everybody expects within this genre, this is how most filmmakers or series makers handle this genre, right? But then you could have another entry into that genre where everything is the same except this one thing is uniquely different, and they make it uniquely different to make it more interesting, but everything else is the same. So that's why with the school example, like you just read, isekai is somebody goes from one world to a different world, right? But kind of interestingly, you could say if you have a show about a school where everybody sticks to one classroom and nobody goes and interacts with other students in other classrooms, but in this show, one of the students is isekai'd or transferred to another classroom. It's the same world, but the tropes and the way the story plays out could be very, very isekai-like on purpose. But the whole point of the story would be the writer saying, hey, I know that every other isekai is human goes into a fantasy world, but in my isekai, it's human goes into another world, but the world is just a different classroom, which is basically like another world in terms of how they run the classroom. So so my question is, would you say, no, that's not an isekai because it's not another world? Or would you say, well, in practice, it's essentially an isekai, even though the pure ingredient to make it an isekai is not present?
I would still say no, it's not, because the idea of isekai in the definition in itself is a different world. It's almost like a fantasy world, or a world different from the one you belong in. So to me, like, it would be more in line of maybe a more dimensional subject. I mean, I think it would be very similar to an isekai, but I don't know if I would classify it specifically as an isekai, personally, myself.
Okay. I was just curious. Yeah. I mean, you're basically being consistent, at least, right? Because if your answer is no to my classroom analogy, your answer is also no to the mech Attack on Titan thing anyway. So you're being consistent in that regard. Because what I was going to say is, if you were now to say yes to my school analogy, then you would have to reanalyze your answer to the mech, to the Attack on Titan mech. Because if you said yes to the school, then that would mean that you acknowledge that although the key ingredient of an isekai is not present in the school story, then you would have to look at, well, a component of being a mecha is to have actual robots. But then why is it over here I say this is not mecha, and then over here I might say this is isekai? But you didn't say that. You're being consistent. So yeah.
Well, yeah, because like I'm actually looking at some Japanese conversations on this about Attack on Titans, and I typed in as like in Japanese, is Attack on Titans a mecha anime? And there are articles here like talking about how Westerners are starting to bring up this idea that Attack on Titans is a mech, and everybody is saying no, it's not mech because it's not mechanical and robotic.
Yeah, I think outside of the like fun thought experiments that we can do, I think I still agree with my first response to this question, which is in line with your feelings, which is to have the mech tag. I think to have the mech tag, you just needs to be a mechanical characters or machines that the person is piloting. Even though I think it is fun to explore, like if all mech shows have 10 tropes and one of the tropes is mechanical and one other show has 9 of those tropes, but they're just not mechanical, I think it's interesting to explore, well, is it really not mech just because it doesn't have this one thing? But I think the answer probably is no, because what does mech mean, right? It means what it means. It's like robots.
Oh, that's kind of a great analogy. Is like, I mean, would Ratatouille be a mech? I mean, Luigi's being controlled by the rat.
Oh, right.
So at that point, is Luigi a mech? Like,
but then probably spin it, be like, well, Ratatouille doesn't go inside Luigi. He doesn't pilot him from inside. He just grabs him by the hat,
hair?
Right? Yeah. So even though it's like, in all intents and purposes, it's functioning like a mech, but there would be a way to spin it, like, well, he's not inside him, so I think that's what some people would probably say, which is not a bad argument, I don't think.
I don't know. Flesh is also pretty mechanical. Yeah, but I'm not talking about, like, I understand where you're coming from with that.
Oh, that's way too technical, though.
Yeah, that's
well, technically, the heartbeat is actually a software, and if you look at our human brain, it's got the microchip.
Like I get that. I get that depth of what you're trying to say. Like, I understand, and I don't disagree with you on that. But I think in this terminology, when we're discussing what mech anime is, it's typically usually has to do with robots.
That's what we call a reach, right? If somebody is to say, well, technically, the human brain is mechanical, it's like, okay, now we're doing a lot of web spinning.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate the interesting conversation. I think, I was just really surprised because I didn't know people actually believed that Attack on Titan was, because I've never seen that as a mech. Like, I kind of get it if you just look at it as like mech is a piloting aspect, but. Yeah, I've
never come across this question either. It's quite. I think it's interesting though. It definitely made me think of interesting parts of it, like the analogies we came up with. But yeah, ultimately, I agree with you. However, I will say that I don't think I would apply this categorically in all cases. I think there are some genres where I could see a genre that has every DNA print of the genre except one thing, and I can see a world where that one thing missing doesn't mean that it doesn't belong in that genre. I can see it. Personally, I think I could concede that in some cases. I just don't think I'm ready. I don't think I can concede that with Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Mm-hmm. I can agree with that. Well, I'm getting off. I appreciate I appreciate the you letting me kind of pick your brain. I'm gonna send my people your way.
Oh yeah. Thanks, appreciate that. Thanks for the random chat. I'm gonna do
1 2 1 2.
Yes. Yeah, you can be heard loud and clear. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, what do you think of this?
I've got a million questions.
Okay.
What I would do is try and find a point where the definition is ridiculous, and then fall back to, we know what a mecha is, and if we simplify it, then it'll be easier for like someone who doesn't know culture to understand, like an alien. So you can explain it to an alien. Because I think with the definition we have, yes, technically it works. That's what I was kind of saying. It's like a loophole. But on its face, if we change it, if we allow these things to fall under that category, we'd have to accept other crazy things into that category. That's what I was trying to do.
Into the mecha category.
The kaiju.
Oh, kaiju, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As an example, so do the robots have to be giant? Do they have to be big?
Good question. I think the answer is yes. Like you mean like skyscraper height, right? Oh, hello.
Well, any height really.
I think I don't think they have to be skyscraper height. They just need to be piloted and robotic.
So by that definition,
yeah,
you'd have to say Metabots is a mech.
But they're not piloted though. Metabots, they're not piloted.
Yeah, they are piloted. They're controlled. They're like they take command, right? That's what piloting is. No?
But in true, like technically, you are another way to control something is to pilot it. But in Mecha, it's always the pilot, the human pilot is inside, like controlling it like a suit, like Iron Man. So like Metabots has mechs, like it has mechs, but Mecha as a genre, Mecha as a genre tag, Metabots wouldn't fall into it because they're not piloted like inside.
I'm not trying to catch you out. Is that your definition of a mecha, or is that like a definition that people use?
Yeah, this is how. Yeah, this is like generally understood that like all if you look at a list of mecha series right now, all of them will be humans or some kind of humanoid piloting a robot, like inside.
Okay, so I would say, by the way you're saying pilot, it would be like a plane pilot, right? So you've got controls that you like maneuver.
Right.
In Attack on Titans, isn't it like cyber linked? Isn't it like linked to their thoughts? Isn't that how it works? Or
yes and
I can't remember it exactly.
Yes and no. So it's like they do use their limbs. Like if Eren throws a punch while he's in the Titan body throws a punch. So, but I guess like their ability, kind of yeah. It's kind of yeah. Both. They control them with their limbs and their thoughts kind of play into it somehow as well.
Yeah, so when you say pilot, I think of like a pilot in a plane. That might be like the wrong way of using the words, but I automatically think, like you pilot a car. Your maneuvers don't match the car's maneuvers, but you do something to make the car do something. And with Titans, like throwing your left arm is cybernetically linked to the Titan to copy what you're doing.
Right, but some mecha anime does that too. Some traditional mecha where the character is piloting a traditional giant robot. There are some mecha where they when the even though the pilot is inside a robot, like a mechanical robot, they have like, I don't know how many mecha animes you've seen, but there's somewhere like the pilot is his form. He's not like sitting in a chair pressing buttons. It's like his arms and legs are strapped, like connected to the robot. And then when the pilot throws a punch, then the robot throws a punch. There's regular mecha where that happens too.
Yeah, so maybe not a problem. When I think of that,
hello?
Because this is a weird one. Technically,
I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. It's just going back to my room.
Yeah,
technically.
Technically?
He could be a mech because he...
Wait, you're cutting in and out a lot. I think maybe wherever you move to, the signal is dropping off in and out. Hello.
1 2 1 2.
I can hear you now, but I was silent for like the past 5 seconds.
I think it's because I was in the elevator. My bad.
Okay, probably.
What I was saying, this is the example I thought in my head. You can tell me where the floor is, and it's kind of like the technically ticking boxes thing. So I would say, by that definition, Professor X from the X-Men.
Yeah. Oh, you've cut
giant
out.
Robot.
All I heard was Professor X.
Oh, really? Wait, is it good now?
I can hear you now.
Good now. Okay, cool. Let me turn this laptop off. Otherwise, you hear yourself twice. I was saying technically, wouldn't Professor X from the X-Men count as a mecha? Because when he's in Cerebro, he's controlling people, but within a robot. So from the definition, you don't have to control the robot. You have to control stuff from the robot.
Sure. In a vacuum, yes. But what makes this tricky is that we're talking about a genre, not a feature of, not like a component, right? So the Professor X thing is more when he is controlling Cerebro, he is piloting Cerebro the same way that that pilots in mech animes pilot mechs. True, but that's just like one instance of X-Men. Like X-Men, we wouldn't say because Professor X pilots Cerebro, therefore X-Men is a mecha series or a mecha anime, right? So that's the thing. It's because we're exploring what constitutes the genre. That's what makes it a bit trickier. Not like, yeah.
Well, what is the, I guess, the regular person's opinion on the Attack on Titan genre? What is it if it's not?
So I can't speak for the regular because I've only just encountered this entire debate today, but it seemed for the people who think that it is a mecha, they believe that it checks enough of the boxes of what is commonplace in pretty much all mecha, that it ticks enough boxes that it should be referred to as a mecha show. Is the argument?
What's the other potential genre? Like if I looked on like Crunchyroll, where would I find it under?
I guess I'm not sure. Maybe like, well, shonen. Maybe I think is it considered shonen? I mean, Attack on Titan is a very different kind of shonen. So maybe shonen, maybe seinen. Probably not seinen actually. Either shonen, seinen, or it might just be like the regular titles, like action, thriller, psychological. And I don't know if mecha would be there. I've never actually checked, but I think that this is one of those arguments or one of these topics where people aren't as concerned about like official listings, because one site might consider it mecha for similar reasons, and one site might not consider it mecha for the same reasons that we might not, right? So
I get that. It's just, is it a case that maybe it can tick some mecha boxes, but it might tick more boxes in another genre? So you just pick the one that it ticks more boxes in.
But yeah, I think that's part of it. But the issue is that a lot of shows are like, genres are kind of cross. A lot of shows borrow from very few things are just like staunchly one genre these days. So it's gonna belong. It's gonna have multiple aspects of different genres. It's kind of like music, right? Like a lot of music nowadays is so music just influences each other, and sometimes it's hard to call and pinpoint what particular genre a song belongs to these days, unless it's like ridiculously clear and intentionally clear.
Yeah, like I could understand it being like a hybrid of two genres, and then you either make a new word for it or you put the two categories in it, like sci-fi thriller.
Yeah,
like that's two genres, sort of thing. I don't know. I think using the word mecha, naturally feels weird when there's no robots.
No, I agree.
All the other boxes.
Yeah,
but unless people are, I think the biological part is the big part. Well, I don't know if Titans are actually.
I'm curious what you think about this. Somebody in her chat said, I'm actually worried to bring this up. Somebody in her chat said, well, technically, the human body, I mean, Titans are biological, and biology is mechanical to some degree, right? So technically, and then I just instantly thought of you, because it sounded like the most hyper logic bro thing to say. But I said like, well, I mean, now we're doing a bit too much, right? Yeah, like, yes, true. The Titan's brain, and the Titan has lungs and muscles, and technically these are mechanic. There's mechanics to it, but obviously we're not talking about this kind of mechanic, right? Like, you could reach in that way, but I think we're doing a bit too much Dowsim reaching with that.
Yeah, I would say you've just erased something. Like, when you categorize biology as robots, then there's no distinction. So we are robots. Like,
right.
You've regressed, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say, well, then, yes, everything is mechanics. Then everything's mecha. Then, right? Anything bigger than a human would be mecha. Like, yes, it is hyperlogical, but yeah, that's when I say like butchered.
Yeah.
Because now it has no meaning.
Right. Yeah. Everything is
the
everything.
category's too big.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've made the category way too big. If there's like a distinction between biology and mech, and you've blended them together, what's the third option? I don't really think there is one, right?
Yeah.
It's nature and artificial. Like you've just So I would have laughed and been like, all right, I'm out.
Okay, that would have been your exit point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, yeah, you might as well just say Power Rangers has mechs, but there's no politics in it, right?
Right.
But they also fight kaijus. But then, if the kaijus are technically robots because they're biological and they're mechanical, like they work mechanically, it'll be like, well, yeah, then it's just all mechs. Then I would say the Godzilla is a mech. The kind of big beast thing is mech, just without the piloting.
Yeah. Right.
When I think of like Gundam, what you said is a pilot in a ship or robot, and they're fighting other ships and robots for political reasons.
Yeah.
That's the political reason bit is kind of like, oh yeah, shit, that does make sense.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like that.
Yeah, and one other thing they said as well, which I didn't think of until I saw the list, is that a lot of mech shows, and I think it's safe to say, it's definitely safe to say from all the ones I've seen. Obviously, I haven't seen every mech show, but I think enough people believe this that it's probably enough to say so. But one of the points was, so the way it was listing it was like, Attack on Titan has this, mech shows have this too, and one of it said, Attack on Titan also has titans or mechs, which have been passed down from previous users, right? So like in Gundam and a lot of mech shows, when a character pilots a mech, like that mech has a lot of history. Like maybe 100 years ago, that mech was used in this conflict by this other important character. And Attack on Titan has literally all of the titans that the main characters use. They have a place in history. Like it's very. Like they've all been usable by different people. Like the main character's Titan in Attack on Titan, that Titan is like a legendary Titan that other people have used, and they use that as a reason to be like, yeah, mech shows always have this. Attack on Titan has this too.
Is it in Attack on Titans? Are the Titans their own? So do the Titans have names?
Yes. Yeah.
And that right? But I thought it was like. You know how Vegeta talked about a legendary Super Saiyan and he didn't know it was Broly?
Yeah.
I thought that's what Titans were like. So in the past, it was a really strong Titan. And then there has to be a Titan that strong. And then the new character got the same strength of that Titan. I didn't think it was the exact
it's the same one, yeah. Like even the other ones, like they have names, like the Jaw Titan, the Armored Titan, the Attack Titan, which is Eren's one. They all have names, and those beings, those titans, have been used by other people, and it's the same person. It's not like a moniker. Yeah, I think is what you're referring to. It's like the actual titan, like the Titan Eren has been used by other people, and the same with all the other named titans.
Do you think that Attack on Titan would change meaningfully if the titans were mechanical, if they were just robots?
Like
do you think
it would change
the story? Yeah.
I think there's a way to have the same show with just mechs. Like I think it's possible to just swap out the titans with mechs, and the story for the most part, I think the story for the most part would remain the same. I have to think about it a bit more carefully, but there probably is some unique quirks that them being biological plays a part in. For example, I think even the way the Titans look has something to do with like the original person who, like, I could be wrong on that. Actually, I don't think I'm wrong. Yeah, I think the way the Titan looks is a little bit related to the summoner, like the person who pilots the Titan, and the look changes. So, for example, the Colossal Titan. I think it is the case that the Colossal Titan, when the original guy had it, if you really look carefully at its face, it looks like the guy who uses it when he's a regular human. But then when it changes over to another character, if you really look at the face, the face kind of looks like now the new pilot of the Colossal Titan. So that might change, because if they were mechs, then it will be like this mech was designed 500 years ago, and the fact that it's got a 7th pilot now doesn't change how the mech looks. It's still going to be the same design.
That's what I was thinking, because when you was explaining how the Titans work, I was like, it's more like I guess it's like a power.
Yeah.
So say I have the power to, I've got an example, like Gambit. Like Gambit's power is to kinetically charge objects. He chooses to use playing cards.
Yeah.
Now, if I gave that power to someone else, they might choose to use bowling balls, squeaker balls.
Right.
So it's the same power, but it's being used in a different way.
Right.
Where with mechs, in my head, unless they, get some Jet Set Radio graffiti, the mech is the same when you pass it down. Like, it doesn't. You can upgrade it, I guess.
Right.
But then you change the mech.
Okay. Yeah. Wait, let me quickly respond to chat. Illumi says, good bed. Good. Gonna go to bed now. Oh, thanks for passing by. I didn't even know you're still there. Have a good sleep. Maybe I'll see you very soon. Take care. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, the difference is when I think of, like, passing down a mech.
Yeah.
You're, like, given an object and you're handing it over.
Yeah.
And with Attack on Titans and powers, you're like inheriting a technique, and then you use it in your own way.
Right. But do you think you could extend that to mechs though? Because let's say like a pilot can use or be more or less proficient at piloting the mech, right? Like let's say like the original user of Wing Zero from Gundam Wing, he can utilize all the abilities because he's used it for longer and he's more familiar, just more talented. But then when Hiroyuki gets control of Wing Zero, maybe they're just not as talented yet, so they haven't unlocked all the capabilities of that mech. Evangelion can be quite similar as well, although Evangelion is a bit complicated because the Avas are not just robots. There's a lot more to them. Like they actually are alive, but Evangelion's a bit of a mess as well. But it's still considered mecha though. But to answer you directly, I think that what you're saying about Titans, would you say that the technique thing could be applied with mechs too, in terms of how the pilot wields the mech?
I think not, but I don't think it's a meaningful distinction. I think with a mech, I think you can categorically be better or worse than the previous pilot.
With a mech,
With a technique, you're just using it different. Like using playing cards over using Monopoly money.
Yeah.
There's no objective better or worse.
Oh, but it's tricky though. I think, this may be a case where, so if you continue to watch Attack on Titan, you'll see. Did you get to the part where Eren learned how to use the hardening technique?
Is that when like the thing came over its skin?
Yeah, like it kind of crystallizes, and he was trying to learn how to use it because there's another Titan called the I can't remember the name of it, but there's a Titan that she's mastered. Like that Titan's hardening tech, like that's what that Titan is known for. It can harden its skin.
The blonde hair one.
Yeah, her Annie.
Yeah.
And then Eren learns that he can do it, but like he's shit at it at the beginning. Eventually he gets better at it, but like would this fall into the same kind of thing?
Yeah, that technique is kind of what I'm talking about with the powers. Yeah.
Right.
And then so he would objectively be worse than the blonde hair chick at that technique.
Yeah.
And then I think at the end he starts being able to control where it crystallizes, right? So he can make it like go in his hands only, so he can punch harder or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess that part. Well, I don't know how he learns it. I guess he just thinks about it harder.
Yeah, I can't remember how he learns it either. There's a big explanation, but I just can't recall right now.
Yeah, I think like overall, I think you could, but we shouldn't categorize it as a mecha.
Oh, for Attack on Titan,
taken away. Yeah, like and it being the key part of the word. Like when I think of the word mecha, I think it's a fusion of mechanics and mega.
Yeah.
So yeah, a mega mechanical robot. That's what I think of. But if you take away the mechanical part, you're just talking about big natural things.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if people class Titans as natural things because they're created, right? Spoilers?
Yeah, something like that. Kind of like, yeah. The story gets very complex. So I'm not even sure how. Yeah, if they're created or. I've read all of it. I just can't remember how exactly that is explained. I mean, it gets like really religious and God and devils and like it gets pretty wild.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Attack on Titan is notorious for, at the beginning, you probably saw at the beginning, one of the biggest, like the whole drive for the first half of the show is Eren and his friends want to get to his basement, right? Like the basement in his dad's house. And then there's a midpoint in the series where they get to the basement and it's like a big deal because this is like 30 episodes. We finally get there and it just changes the entire scope of the show. Like some people fell off Attack on Titan because it became so much. It became very hard to follow and overly political. And it was a lot. Again, I still do agree with you, but another reason why I'm kind of more willing to be listening to their perspective is because if we now say genres must be more rigid, right? It now creates for example, with the isekai example, right? I think that it's interesting when we explore genres by having the DNA of the genre, but doing something particularly unique with it that may differ or may not differ, that may be a big departure from what we're familiar with in that genre, but it could still very much belong to that genre, like the school isekai thing. And so if I say no, like one part of why I'm sometimes, I still think that you can't call Attack on Titan a mecha, but I do wonder if I hardcore say that, am I limiting how creative a person can be with a genre? Sometimes I wonder about that.
I would say you're doing the opposite. So maybe again it could be me because I'm kind of combative.
Right.
What you're doing there is you're giving an avenue for people to be more creative, right? So I would say if the people that made Attack on Titan, maybe at the start it was just meant to be a mecha suit.
Yeah.
And they went, well, this isn't going to stand out. We need to change something about it so it doesn't just fall into the category of another giant mecha anime. Making them like using bodies, like human bodies or biology, makes people go, oh, it's a mecha anime, but different.
Yeah.
So you kind of create or you force more creativities, like hybrids. Like, so for your, your school example.
Yeah.
I would say something like, oh, say you had a program about a kid who kept getting, what was the word? It's expelled from school.
Yeah.
Right? And every school he goes to is different. Technically, that would be isekai, right? They're different worlds, so he has to adapt to the new school that he goes to. Yeah. And then I would say the isekai person goes, okay, I don't always have to use elves and fantasy worlds.
Yeah.
He's in one reality, but he has to learn how to function in different worlds, which are different schools. I think, you force people to go, these are the boxes you have to tick to be in this category. And the creative people will be like, okay, how can I make new categories? How can I make it so you can't categorize me? So you have to make a whole new word to say where I stand. I think that is what could happen when you're more rigid with categories.
So you're saying that, so you're saying that in the school example, there should be a new word for that kind of isekai, is what you mean?
Yeah, a new word or a fusion of two words. I don't know if there's a word for school anime.
A slice of life. A lot of slice of life is like a school, it's just kind of just school life. So like a mixture of isekai and slice. But then wouldn't it just be? Couldn't you argue that you would just have two tags, right? Like a lot of genres or a lot of shows. Yeah. Oh, this is a slice of life, and also we can tag it as isekai as well because it's close enough to isekai and clearly intentional to. I think the intent is a big part of it too, right? Like, because oftentimes you can see what the artist is trying to do. Like, if it's clear that the artist is basically playing around with isekai in a different way, I think that is part of it too.
Yeah. So I agree. So maybe this isn't how creative people think. With that case, I'll be like, okay, I'm cool if people call it a slice of isekai. So it's a blend of two.
Yeah.
Because I watched Dr. Stone. I think that might be like the last anime I watched.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and now we're talking about this. I'm like, the reason I watched it wasn't because of the genres in. I don't know what I think it would be isekai, technically. But you don't see the original world much. We assume their original, well, the future, well, not the future, the time that he was normal, and then obviously it fast forwards, but the technology is past, like old school technology, even though they're in the future. We don't see how he originally lived. So, yes, he's changed worlds, quote unquote, but we've got no understanding of what it's changed from.
Yeah.
But past all that, I didn't watch it for that reason. So the genre didn't matter to me. But that might be different to other people. I didn't watch it because someone said, oh, this is a type of show. I watched it because they gave me the premise. They went, oh, this kid's like super smart, and he does really creative ways to come up to solve problems. I'm like, oh, cool, that sounds interesting. I want to watch it. The genre didn't matter to me.
Right.
I want to look it up now to see where it is, because I can't think of what genre it would come under if it wasn't a fantasy reality kind of thing. But yeah, I think the categories, they matter when we speak about them, but they don't matter when they're being created.
When they're being created.
Interesting. Yeah, but you're an artist. You can tell me if I'm wrong.
I would say
create with the idea of a category in mind.
Yeah, sometimes you might. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think that I think it's one thing if the creator is like, I'm gonna make this genre, and then the execution of that genre is so away from what people understand that genre to be, that if now 95% of the viewer base is like, bro, this genre that you set out to make, this is clearly not that genre, then it's like, yeah, the creator, at that point, I think the creator's intent doesn't matter because nobody even sees it that way anyway. But I think outside of that, actually, wait, does that make sense? I think unless the creator's intent is irrelevant because the execution of it is so different, then I think the creator's intent does matter. Because oftentimes the creator's intent shows, right? If a creator sets out to make a comedy or a shonen or seinen, whatever genre, usually they're able to do it well enough that it's clear what it's supposed to be, right? Typically.